We weren't supposed to survive the crash. The plane went down in white silence, the kind where sound feels swallowed before it reaches your ears. Trees snapped. Metal screamed once, then nothing. When I woke up, my mouth was full of blood and insulation, and the cold was already working on me like it had time scheduled. There were 11 of us at takeoff. By nightfall, there were 6 breathing. We huddled inside the broken fuselage because moving meant bleeding faster. The radio was dead. Phones were dead. Snow kept falling like it was trying to erase us. Someone kept saying rescue would come, because that's what people say when they need words more than truth. By the second night, 2 more were gone. One bled out quietly. The other walked into the trees and never came back. No tracks, just a clean absence, like he'd been lifted. Hunger came next, not the empty stomach kind. The sharp animal one that makes you stare too long at people's hands, their legs, the soft places. We didn't talk about it, but we all felt it chewing behind our thoughts. On the 3rd morning, we found meat outside the wreck, fresh, warm, laid out carefully on the snow. No footprints around it, and none of us remembered leaving the plane. We argued about the meat for less than a minute. That's what scares me now. No one asked what it was. No one asked where it came from. We just stared at it while our bodies decided for us. One of the women started crying and saying it was a sign that something wanted us alive. Another guy laughed once, too loud, too sharp, and said he didn't care if it was a trap. We cooked it over torn wiring and burning seat foam. The smell was wrong. Too rich. Too sweet. But when I took my first bite, my hands stopped shaking for the first time since the crash. That night, one of us disappeared. He'd eaten more than anyone, gone before dawn. His sleeping spot was still warm, no tracks leading away. Just drag marks leading toward the trees, then nothing. That's when we heard it for the first time, a voice from the tree line, low and careful, like it was practicing. It used his name. We didn't answer. We didn't move. The voice tried again, closer this time, sounding almost right but stretched, like the words were being pulled through teeth that didn't fit them. After that, we kept watch in pairs. It didn't come for us while we were awake. It waited for whoever slept too deeply. And every morning after, there was more meat outside the wreck, always warm, always fresh, always enough to keep us alive. By the 5th day, there were only 4 of us left. We stopped pretending rescue was coming. The sky stayed empty. The forest stayed too still. And the thing out there kept feeding us like livestock it didn't want to lose yet. We tried refusing the meat once. We pushed it away from the wreck, buried it under snow, told ourselves we'd rather starve than owe something we couldn't see. That night, the screaming started. Not from the trees, from inside the fuselage. One of us woke up choking, clawing at his own throat, saying something was inside him. His stomach swelled like it was filling with air. Then he started begging, not to be saved, begging to be eaten, begging us to finish it before it came back for him. He died before morning. The meat was back when the sun came up, more than before, arranged neatly, patiently. That was when we realized the rule. It didn't eat the dead. It ate the ones who survived too long, the strong ones, the ones who resisted, the ones who tried to hold on to being human. That night, when the voice spoke again, it used my voice, perfect this time, and the others turned to look at me with hunger in their eyes, because now they understood something else too. If it couldn't eat us itself, it would teach us how. We didn't sleep after that. The three of them sat across from me, backs to the wreckage, watching my hands, my mouth, my throat, like they were waiting for it to open again and speak through me. I tried to explain I hadn't said anything, that it was copying, that it was out there. But fear makes people stupid, and hunger makes them cruel. That night, the forest came closer. Branches cracked just beyond the snow line. Slow steps, heavy ones. I could smell it now. Rot and iron and something sweet underneath, like cooked fat. The voice circled us, changing tones, using all the names it had learned. Mothers, wives, a child's voice, thin and breaking. One of them snapped. He lunged at the smallest among us, hands shaking, apology already spilling from his mouth as he did it. I didn't help. I didn't stop him. None of us did. We told ourselves we were choosing survival, not murder. The screaming didn't last long. When it was over, the forest went quiet again. Satisfied. We didn't cook the meat this time. It didn't need us to. As we ate, I felt it watching, close enough to breathe on us. And in that moment, I understood the truth we'd been avoiding. It wasn't hunting us. It was teaching us how to replace it. By morning, there were two of us. The other man wouldn't look at me anymore. His mouth and chin were dark. His hands shook so badly he kept hiding them under his legs, like that could make what he'd done disappear. He kept whispering that it wasn't him, that something pushed him, that the hunger wasn't his. I believed him. That was the worst part. The forest didn't speak that day. It didn't need to. The lesson had already taken. We packed what little we could carry and started walking, even though we both knew we didn't know where we were going. Moving felt safer than waiting to be tested again. Around midday, the wind shifted. I smelled it before I saw it. Stronger now, closer. The trees ahead bent slightly, not from wind, but from something tall passing between them. Too tall, too thin. Antlers scraping bark like knives dragged slow. The man beside me started crying. He ran. I didn't chase him. I didn't warn him. I just listened as his footsteps broke into the snow, then slowed, then stopped. I heard the wet sound after, the satisfied sound. A few minutes later, the voice came from behind me, not copying anyone this time. It spoke like a teacher. "You learned fast," it said. I realized then why it never chased me. It didn't need to. I was already becoming what would survive next time. I walked until my legs stopped feeling like mine. The cold didn't bother me anymore. Hunger didn't either. It was there, constant, but calm, like something settled into its proper place. My thoughts felt clearer. The farther I got from the wreck, like I'd been carrying noise inside me that was finally gone. By dusk, I realized the truth. I wasn't leaving the forest. The trees started to look familiar in a way they shouldn't. Not remembered, recognized. I knew where the ground would dip before it did. I knew which branches would snap under my weight. My body moved without hesitation, like it had rehearsed this path before I was born. I caught my reflection in a frozen stream. I didn't look sick. I didn't look possessed. I just looked thinner, sharper. My eyes were wrong though, too focused, too patient. Behind me, something large moved. I didn't turn. It stood close. Close enough that I could feel its heat against my back, smell the old blood soaked into its breath. It didn't touch me. "You'll feed well," it said. Not a promise, an assessment. I understood then. Survivors weren't mistakes. They were seeds. Some people freeze. Some people die. Some people break. And some learn what hunger really is. and never stop answering it. When rescue teams found tracks weeks later, they followed them for miles. They only went one direction, deeper in. I didn't know the old logging road had a rule until it enforced it. The snow came down hard and fast, thick enough to erase my footprints behind me. I was already an hour late turning back when I heard my name from the trees. Not shouted, not whispered, said the way someone says it when they're right behind you and don't want to scare you. I stopped. That was my first mistake. The voice sounded like my brother, same cadence, same pause before the last syllable. He'd gone missing in these woods 3 winters ago. They never found enough of him to bury. "Come on," the voice said. "You're walking the wrong way." I told myself it was the wind. I told myself grief does things to your head. Then I felt pressure on my pack, like a hand testing its weight. I spun around. Nothing was there, but the snow behind me was disturbed. Long grooves, dragged, not stepped. I started moving again, faster this time. The trail should have been straight. It wasn't. Each time I corrected my direction, the forest bent it back. Trees leaned inward. The ground sloped subtly downhill, pulling at my legs. Behind me, something moved with patience. When I slipped and went down hard, the thing finally touched me. It didn't grab, it hooked. Something cold and jointed caught my ankle and pulled, steady and certain, dragging me back toward the trees I was trying to leave. I kicked hard enough to tear something in my leg, but the grip didn't change. It wasn't strong in a violent way. It was strong the way gravity is strong, unarguable, patient. I clawed at the snow, fingers burning as they dug down to frozen dirt. Every inch I gained forward, I lost 2 backward. My boots carved twin lines toward the trees, like I was being erased. That's when it leaned close enough for me to smell it. Rot. Old meat and wet fur and something sour, like breath from a mouth that never learned how to eat properly. The dragging stopped just for a second, and I felt weight settle over my legs, not standing, pressing. "Don't fight it," my brother's voice said again, closer now. "Wrong." The words came out stretched, chewed up, like it was learning how to use them. "You came back. That means you're ready." I twisted and finally saw part of it through the snow. Too tall, limbs bent the wrong way, joints stacked where they shouldn't be. Its head was low, almost shy, but its eyes were fixed on me with focus that hurt to mate. I screamed and drove my knife backward into whatever was holding me. It shrieked, not in pain, but in frustration, and the pressure vanished. I scrambled up and ran without direction, without breath, knowing the worst truth of all. It hadn't been pulling me deeper. It had been keeping me from leaving too fast. I ran until my lungs felt like they were tearing loose, until the snow thinned and the trees spaced out just enough to lie to me. The forest went quiet. Not normal quiet. Not winter quiet. The kind where sound doesn't echo because it has nowhere to go. I slowed without meaning to. My legs wouldn't keep the pace anymore. Every step felt watched, measured. Then the ground behind me shifted. I didn't turn. I didn't need to. I felt it matching me, step for step, just out of reach of my vision, not chasing, guiding. Every time I veered left, a branch snagged my jacket, right, and the snow deepened, stealing my footing. The woods weren't random anymore. They were corrections. "Almost," the voice said. Not my brother now, but my own. Same breath pattern, same fear folded into the words. "Don't stop now." I stumbled into a clearing I didn't recognize. In the center was something dark against the snow. A shape half buried, long and wrong. Bones, human, picked clean and arranged, not scattered. All of them pointing inward like an arrow. That's when I understood. It doesn't hunt the lost. It makes you turn around. It waits until you choose the wrong direction on your own. The pressure hit my back, firm and final, and I felt myself being walked, not dragged, back toward the trees, my feet still moving as if they belonged to me. It walked me like you walk a dog that's already given up. My legs moved, but they didn't listen anymore. Each step sank perfectly into the ones I'd made earlier, like the forest was folding me back into an old path. The pressure on my back never tightened. It didn't need to. It knew I wouldn't fall again. We passed places I remembered. A split rock, a dead pine struck by lightning. Markers I'd used before to orient myself. All of them were wrong now, rotated slightly, like copies put back in the wrong order. The thing leaned close to my ear. I felt its breath push snowflakes sideways. "You always come back," it said, using my mother's voice this time. Calm, certain. "Everyone does." Ahead, the trees closed in, around a narrow gap I'd never seen before. Oh, the snow there wasn't clean. It was packed down, layered, stained dark underneath, like something kept getting dragged through and covered up again. My feet crossed the line before I could stop them. The pressure released. For one stupid second, hope flared. Then hands, too many, too thin, wrapped around my arms and shoulders from the dark between the trunks, not pulling me forward, pulling me backward, deeper, while something tall and patient watched from behind, making sure I didn't learn the way out this time. They didn't carry me far. That was the cruel part. They pinned me against a tree whose bark was worn smooth at shoulder height, polished by years of the same struggle. Hands held my wrists. Another forced my jaw open. Something thin slid between my teeth, prying, stretching, testing how much I could take without breaking too fast. The tall one stepped closer. Up close, it didn't look like a creature pretending to be human. It looked like a human rearranged for a different purpose. Bones too long. Skin pulled tight where it shouldn't be, loose where it should cling. Antlers rose from its skull, not clean, but torn through, crusted dark at the base. It leaned down until its face was inches from mine. "Don't scream," it said gently in my own voice. "That makes you forgetful." Its hand pressed against my chest. I felt something shift inside me, not pain at first, but pressure, like memory being pushed out of the way. Images slipped. The trailhead, my car, the reason I came back at all. I tried to hold on to my brother's face. The thing inhaled deeply, like it was tasting that thought. Then it pulled away, satisfied. The hands released me. My legs held. "Go," it said, already turning back into the trees. Oh, and I did. I walked out of the woods alone, carrying nothing I could explain, already feeling the urge to return. I didn't notice what was missing until days later. I was home. Warm. People talked to me, and I answered correctly. I ate, slept, went to work. Everything fit, until it didn't. Every night, just before sleep, I felt the pull, not a thought, a direction, like my body knew where it was supposed to be standing instead. I tried to think about my brother. His face wouldn't come. I knew I had one. I knew he was gone. But when I reached for details, his voice, his laugh, the way he said my name, there was only static. Like a word on the tip of your tongue that refuses to exist. The dreams started after that. Snow without cold. trees without tops. Me walking backward while something tall followed, correcting my steps. In the dreams, I was calm, grateful even, like I was being returned to where I belonged. Yesterday, I found mud on my boots. I live 3 hours from the woods. This morning, my legs ached like I'd walked all night. My phone showed no missed calls, no messages, but my Maps app was open. A route pinned to the old logging road. I don't remember opening it. I'm writing this because something inside me is counting down. I don't know to what. I just know that when the snow falls again, I won't feel lost. I'll feel called back. And next time, it won't let me leave with anything at all.